get our preliminary stuff out of the way so we can handle business and do what needs to be done. But before we go, I guess I need to make an announcement. Of course, we all know about the weather situation, and should the weather turn bad and the sheriff tells us we need to move, then we'll have to relocate to the bottom of the building or somewhere, some safe place to keep everybody safe. So just be prepared if we have to make a quick move. Sheriff or Ms. Christian will let us know what we need to do. So before we go any further, I'm going to ask Supervisor Montgomery, give us a prayer this evening.
If you will, bow your head. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Dear Lord, be with Oktibbeha County and our counties that do surround us during this bad weather, dear Lord. Put a protection on this area and the people who are vulnerable to these storms, dear Lord. Thank you for all our many blessings. Be with our military who are not only here but fight abroad. Be with our state leaders, our national leaders, and dear Lord, be with all of our local leaders throughout this bad weather that we hope to not encounter. But dear Lord, again, please protect this area and the people who live here. So in your name, Jesus, in your Son's name, Jesus, that I do pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Supervisor Montgomery.
Chris, could you see if that back window will open, please, sir?
Yes.
Maybe get a little circulation going. Stop. All right, appreciate it.
That one open.
We're gonna go ahead and get started. We have to, should get uncomfortable with the way the heating and cooling is set up in the courthouse. You got to have it one way or the other. You can't have it go from hot to cold. You got to switch it over. So we got the heat cut off, but hopefully we'll be able to do what we need to do and we'll be comfortable and got the windows up to make it comfortable while we're here tonight. We're going to go ahead and get our meeting going. Our first item of business is our citizen comment period. I do know we got a public hearing scheduled just after the citizen comment period, but if there's any citizen here that has any other business that they would like to discuss or bring before the board for up to 3 minutes, you may do so at this time.
Chris Taylor, Supervisor District 5, part of the member of the Oktibbeha County NAACP. We thank you for 4 great years working with you. Looking forward for the next 4, because you also get sworn on January first meeting, the 3rd. Looking forward for another 4 years. And that's everybody who's here elected. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else?
Good evening, Dr. Tom Glitter. I'm a senior. I got a concern concerning East Oktibbeha County High School facility. Our Education Association, East Oktibbeha County School, Lumina, we've been in the process of using the campus on several occasions. It'd be a good, so far, it'd be nice. We have a lot of alumni come out, family and communities come out. People stop by, having a good time, and we still hadn't had the opportunity to get some update on them. We asked for update now. We've been talking to Dr. Baggin, and he's been talking to Dr. Son also. I talked to him Friday, Dr. Baggin Friday, and he shared with me that on the school side, everything is fine. They're waiting on the supervisor to make a decision. We're gonna put some update out for right now, what y'all plan to do. I know the election is over, you know, and everything is moving forward. What the status on that towards school?
We haven't had a chance to discuss it along with other issues that are out there. We haven't discussed it. I think, well, my thinking of it was that once the new board takes seat, then that may be one of the things we may discuss along with a host of other things, I'm sure, that are priorities amongst the supervisors. So as of right now, I don't think we're gonna make any decision or even discuss it, you know, till after the first of the year.
Okay.
But we certainly appreciate you all support out there in the community and what you've been doing and the different events that you all have been doing, and appreciate the concern about the facility.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to approach the board and assist comment here? If not, then we'll move right along. Public hearing on our garbage fee and billing. Ms. Garrett, do you want to come around and kind of lead us into this discussion? I think that a lot of citizens have received letters in reference to the possible change in the garbage billing process. And so, Ms. Garrett, if you will, you may want to just kind of give us a little update on how we got to this point.
Okay. We ran an ad in the paper a couple of times in the month of November and December notifying the citizens about this meeting. And what we're trying to do is change from the renter form of billing to the property owner form of billing. That's for renters and property owners that has someone living on their property. However, the person living there is not the owner. And that happens a lot of time in family estates. And what the change will be, and several counties around here already do it, is go ahead and bill the property owner for the garbage bill, since the property owner is the one ultimately responsible for it anyway. And the notice was sent out. I have received numerous calls about it, most of them favorable, one or two were hostile, but otherwise it's been going well. So, and hopefully where we're right now carrying so much past due, that will stop. I think right now we might have what, a couple $1 million in unpaid garbage fees that we think that this, by billing the owner, will eliminate.
Attorney Robinson, you want to chime in on it? Give us,
Really and
from a
truly,
legal standpoint.
from a legal standpoint, I mean, we've always, the law is not changing. We're basically doing what the law is allowing us to do. The only changes that we're doing is basically doing what the law says we're supposed to do. We're attaching it to the property owner. And part of the reasoning behind that is a lot of times these property owners are not even aware that the bill's not being paid until it has gotten well overdue. And this will at least give them an opportunity to stay on top of this a lot better than they were before. Some of these poor people are getting hit with a substantial amount a year or two into a lease, and this will at least give them the opportunity to know what's going on well before it gets to that. So really not changing a whole lot from a legal standpoint. It's just allowing us the ability to give someone notice that's frankly responsible for it to start with.
Any member of the board have any comments or
Attorney
questions or comments?
Robinson, I do have a question
Yes,
that
sir.
was posed to me. If the person owns the property, the land, but the person renting the property owns the actual living dwelling,
It's the
Ooh.
property owner,
the person that's actually leasing the
Land.
The land.
not the,
Land.
not the,
It's the address.
okay.
yeah.
Will
Yeah,
that,
there's no way for us to know.
Yeah.
We don't have copies of the leases and
That's
stuff like
where
that.
we run into, the family has allowed someone to put a mobile home there or something, and that person don't pay. Well, we have to go against the property owner.
okay,
The property is what the county can put a lien against,
okay, not the actual
not
living
the
dwelling.
mobile home.
Okay.
What about back
I was
fees,
just-
since we're changing this?
The property owner is still responsible on the back bills.
Right.
They've always been responsible.
The biggest problem we've had, y'all, is that they've always been responsible. I mean, it's not that we're changing
It's
that.
something new, it's not something new.
They've always been responsible. What we're trying to do is at least give some notice to that property owner. And if it had been my choice years ago, we probably would have done this to start with like this. But keep something in mind when, let's use me for this example. I have rental property. This board doesn't have my rental contracts. You have no idea who I've rented to, you don't have any, but what you do know is what property I own. And there's really not a way to attach it back to that property owner because, I mean, there's no way that we could get attachments to leases and that kind of stuff. It's just not filed in our chancery court system or anything else. That's the logic behind this. But that's a valid question, and frankly, we're not, I mean, I want to be real clear, we're not changing anything from a legal stance. This has always been the case.
I guess that sort of leads me into, for instance, the school board that owns 16th section property. And they've got this property leased to individuals that has houses and mobile homes. So now is the
That is
school
one
board-
exception.
That's an exception.
That is one of 16 section property is an exception.
The person that's leasing the property is responsible.
Yes.
Okay.
Keep in mind, the 16th section property is actually filed here. There's a
Yeah.
way for us to attach back to that.
They,
Okay.
that leasehold
Okay.
there.
That clears it up then. Those were the two.
Yes, sir.
Mhm.
Any more questions?
Some of the concerns that I've heard is, they have multiple meters, but the home is at 1 meter, and then across the road, there's a barn, that's a separate meter, or on a different piece of property, so they have a light bill for both. They wanna make sure they're not getting garbage bills for both places.
They will not get a garbage bill for a barn. This is residential and commercial if they have not opted out with board approval previously. A commercial account can go to the dumpster style, but with the approval of the board.
Yeah, in a commercial, they can hire their own garbage pickup through the dumpster.
But if they have not, then we bill them through house to house.
Any more questions on the board? All right, do we have any members of the audience that would like to have any comments on this particular matter? I know we got one hand starting from the front, and we'll work our way to the back, so if you will, come forward and state your name and everything for the paper, and be reasonable, up to 3 minutes with your presentation, if you don't mind.
You may stand up.
Yes, sir, if you don't mind.
I'm Jerry Oswald. I brought this to Ms. Miller's attention, and thank God we've got her as supervisor now. She got right on it, and hopefully we got it resolved. I've owned quite a bit of property in Oktibbeha County. I have never before bought a part of a tract. I've always bought an entire tract. Well, when I went to pay my taxes about a month ago, I found out from Mr. Morgan that I would have to, if I wanted to pay my tax that day, I'd have to pay the entire tax bill for that piece of property. Okay, so I write a check and pay it off. He said, that the other people, if they want to do what's right, they can come and pay their part. Well, that's fine. Now, fast forward, I get this letter from the garbage people saying that I would be, since I paid this tax, it was addressed to the former owner in care of me, saying that you would be looking at me now as the landlord. And these other individuals who've purchased parts of that tract, I'm gonna be responsible for their garbage bills. That's what the letter says.
Have talked to Mr. Oswald about this, and I think I talked to Jennifer that the person that has that other part of the tract that Alan said would be cleared up next year. I don't understand the tax part of it, but we have discussed this, and in that situation, Mr. Oswald is already getting the bill at his residence that he's paying for, and has no residence on this property, and is not responsible for the garbage bill for the part that the other person does have a residence on.
Sounded like the other person owns that piece of property,
They
right?
do, but
He
it's,
just owns a bare piece
I
of property.
purchased, I think it was like 40 acres of the tract. When I found out about it, there was 18 acres that was directly behind my house. I went and immediately purchased it because I didn't want anybody moving behind me. Oh, there's absolutely nothing on that property. There's no electricity, there's no water, there's nothing. But since I paid the entire tax for the whole parcel, according to Mr. Morgan, the tax assessor, I would have to do that, or someone of the parcel owners would have to do it, and then the rest of us would have to fall in and pay our part to that person who paid it.
It had not been remapped.
It'll be next
Right.
year.
So-
And he said next year, it would be divided out, and I'd be billed my part, and they'd be billed theirs. And I said, fine, I'll just pay the whole thing, be done with it. Then, like I said, fast forward, I get this letter saying, you're now the landlord, these other individuals are your tenants, you're gonna be receiving their garbage bills. So then I contacted Ms. Miller, who happened to be in Las Vegas at the time, but thanks to her, she got on this, and I'm hoping that we've got it resolved with her and Mrs. Gerard. But, I mean, I'm sure y'all gonna have other problems just like this, because I can't be the only person in Oktibbeha County in 2019 that purchased a portion of a tract.
I guess I'm slightly confused. I guess what you're saying is your name is the only one on the deed for that entire tract of property.
No, my name is on 18 acres of it.
Well,
But
why did you pay for the entire tract?
because
You
you
can't-
have an attorney here,
can't
and I think he
divide
can
that.
attest to this fact, Oktibbeha County will not accept partial payment for a parcel.
Is it not
It's
in
state
the
law.
other?
You can't do that.
It's all
the
or
deed-
nothing.
Is the deed not in the other property owner's
Well,
name?
what it is this is
It takes-
2019
Once the deed is
taxes.
recorded into our office,
Mhm.
it takes it a full year for it to
Okay.
roll over into the other person who purchased it in their name. The deed has been recorded, the deed is filed, and it's showing that he owns it, but on the land roll situation, it takes it a year before it rolls over.
Okay, I'm
And then
clear.
it'll split it up.
Because they have to remap and everything else.
Mr. Oswald, was your property not prorated when you purchased it for your tax situation?
That's what I asked. Why wasn't it prorated out?
That's
So
just, that's usually what happens. Now, that's,
The
it's
date of
interesting.
purchase.
I don't
That's
doubt that
normally
what you're
what
saying
happens.
occurred. I'm
I
just
don't
trying to-
think so, and I don't have any problem with the tax. I've already paid it. It's over and done with. If they want to pay me, fine. If they don't, fine. My problem is, I don't want to be looked upon as a landlord. I don't own any rental property. I have hundreds of acres of timberland. I don't want to be in the rental business.
I told Mr. Oswald if he gets billed for it, that will be our error and we will clear it up.
Okay.
Once
That
they
we
split the
needed-
property up,
That we
she'll be
needed
the
to
one, once
let
they
us
split it
know
up, she'll get the bill.
as soon as possible and we'll get it cleared up. And I have talked to, Ms. Odom about it to let her know about it.
So in other words, I just need to come to you, Mrs. Garrett, and if we have a problem.
If you get a bill for it, for garbage, just come to me and I get it taken care of.
Thank you, ma'am. I
Thank you,
appreciate
Ms.
it.
Oldwall. I know I saw Mr. Price, I know I saw, I think it's on your hand, go.
Good evening,
Good evening,
Dwight
sir.
Price. I understand your pain of not being able to collect the bills. I work on that almost every day on the sewer district. Same type of issues. As Representative Robinson can tell you, he submitted legislation for us that doesn't even get heard in the committee. So we're kind of up creek without a paddle. But the issue here is, if when you read the law, it says fees for garbage or rubbish collection or disposal shall be assessed jointly and severably against the generator of the garbage or rubbish and against the owner of the property furnished the service. So that says, why aren't you billing both? If it's jointly, that kind of indicates you guys ought to be telling everybody who it is, and I don't think you've ever billed any property owner until you hit them with a big bill way past when. And if you're billing every month, and however you want to do that, then the property owner would have an idea about who is paying and who isn't, and can go to them and say, you either got to pay me or them, what you going to do? But that hasn't been done, so you guys are kind of remiss in the way you bill people,
No,
which
sir.
has got you amongst a rock and a hard place.
Well, the law says jointly. However, we build the renters and we build the people that's living on the property. we not knowing for the most part who the owners were, and that hasn't worked for us. And at the point that the renter did not pay the bill, the county could have put a lien on the property at that point, or held the property owner's tag along with the renter's tag. It's been quite a headache for the county trying to get these absentee renters to pay once they're gone from here, or if, even while they're here.
Are you
It's been a
saying
hard
deed
act.
records are not in the Chancery Clerk's office?
Our garbage collection is not billed here in the courthouse. It's
I
outsourced.
understand who bills it, but it's
Mhm.
the county's records. And the county knows who owns each piece of property. And there's actually a nice lookup that Golden Triangle Planning and Development now serves you guys, that you can go click on it and it'll tell you exactly who owns it.
And what are you suggesting?
I don't know, it's your problem.
We're trying to solve it.
I understand, it's trying to give some input. So now if you bill me for my 9 units and I've only got 1 occupied, who's supposed to pay for the 8 that's not occupied? Or how do you handle that?
That's a good question.
In
Well,
some instances, we would have to know how often it's gonna be occupied, your normal rental terms, and how often you have it fully occupied, and maybe go on a prorated basis, a
What do you
percent
mean,
basis.
what do you mean by prorated?
Well, I know in, one county that we've talked to that had several where people have several rentals, they bill them like 80% occupancy, as long as they are providing, proof of the occupancy, that it's not 100% occupied at all times.
There's, by the way, there are a lot of vacancies in Oktibbeha
I
County
understand.
that haven't been in the past, and I don't know why, but that's just a fact out there
I
I'm finding on a
understand.
daily
I
basis.
understand.
But it's a pretty good issue, and, you know, I'm not sure how you can just bill the property owner and get by with the language in this law. It'd definitely be a good court case, and I think I could win it, and I'm not an attorney.
Well,
All right, well, we certainly appreciate your thoughts.
Thank you.
You bet. Thank you.
All right, the next person that wants to come up and talk about the issue. See anybody else? If not, oh, yes, ma'am.
I don't even know what to add. I really don't. This is very confusing to me. Now, my name is Katie Dodson Pittman. I own my father's property now on Sturgis, Noel L. Dodson Senior. There's no one that's living on the property there. And I have a lot of, and there hadn't been a waste, but I got a letter here, that I had to come to this meeting. And I just, I don't understand this here. But I have a lot of problem with people's going up there dumping stuff on the property and, and destroying up there. I've had a lot of that, and I can't seem to get any help, nobody to help me to stop this situation. Someone went up there and set both the houses afire and the woods afire, but I just don't understand it, I don't live up there, and I'm getting this here saying, a garbage bill. Why would I have a garbage bill? No one is living there.
do you have any, is there any residents on that property that's got, electricity on?
It's no electricity
Okay,
there.
and nobody
They done
else?
cut the light pole down.
And no other person lives there?
No one living
Then
there.
all you will need to do is contact the billing office and let them know that, and they will make sure it doesn't get a bill.
Okay.
And then,
And the garbage bill?
uh-huh, and then find out, also let them, when you give them the address, they can check back and see if it's been occurring the bill, and if it has been occurring the bill, with proof of, when you had the electricity turned off, we can, make corrections to it.
Real bad with that. They let twisted me off for years.
Well, I don't even know that it's generating a bill. I'm just saying, if possibility that it was, and you were
Yes.
not receiving it, that there's, methods that we can get it cleared up for you.
Okay.
So, I'll be
what
glad
I-
to give
what-
you that number.
What I've noticed is Fort County will go back and give you a printout of when the last time that house has electricity attached
sir.
to it.
Yes,
And
sir.
you take that to Golden Triangle Planning and Development.
Okay.
That's what I had to do with some property and got it cleared up.
Right.
for a person.
All right.
But Polk County will give you that printout.
But call Ms. Emily anytime you need, she'll help you get it.
Yeah.
Okay. This was
I'm
you.
in.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Uh-huh.
Thank you, Ms. Pittman. Yes, ma'am.
Me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, my name is Kayla Clayton, and I'm with Chastain Properties. I just want to say thank you to Mr. Montgomery for all of his work out there in the Sunset community. We really appreciate everything that you've done for us. We're just really highly affected by this move. We are looking at 77 properties that we own in either Yates Subdivision Road or in the Sunset community. And there's just been, I feel that I'm kind of backed up into a corner. I have a great relationship. I feel like with my tenants, I have a lot of tenants. I would say 80% of these are subsidized housing with the Mississippi Regional Housing Authority. These folks have, you know, very limited funds. I'm not saying that they're not supposed to be paying their bills, because I'm in full agreement of that. I pay mine every month, you know. So, but my thing is I would just like it to be a little bit more lined up. As far as the notice getting to me and the way that I thought it read, I am supposed to give like enough notice to these folks, and I felt like I was not given enough notice and or not enough instruction as to how it's all supposed to go about. So I guess my main questions for me, since I'm collecting on my end, I'm assuming now with the bills, so that the bills will come here to me. Is this correct?
Yes.
And that's the way it'll work. And then I'll turn around and I'll collect from my folks. What is a good way of saying this to them? And is there any sort of form or generation of a form that I can pass along to them to give them proper notice from me? You see what I'm saying, or what I'm trying to say?
One way to do this would be to go ahead and just add it into your rent.
And we do send out monthly statements, so I do already have that communication now for years with my tenants.
The way I would approach it if I were you, and I'm not suggesting that you have to do it
Yes,
this
please, I need some
way.
help here.
But the way I would do it, if you're generating this every, a bill for them every single month, you're, what is it, $9?
$13, $156 a year.
I would go ahead and just add it into that, on your bill, and you could put off to the side that what is it for?
Of course,
So
yes,
that you're,
sir.
so that they don't, because I understand your side of it, they're gonna say, oh, you've raised our rent. And really and truly, they were responsible, or this bill was being generated anyway. A lot of times, y'all probably had to deal with this at some point with somebody that didn't pay, would be my bet. But I would go ahead and add it in there on the front end, and that way, it's a lot easier for someone that's having a hard time as far as their finances to deal with a $13 increase than waiting to the end of the year and multiply that times 12.
And the way that I had read, will we as a homeowner, will I see it every month, or will I see it every 90 days as it read in the rules? Like, do I see it every month and I go along sideways with it, or am I looking at January and April, I'm being, informed then? I just don't know, about that part of
You
it,
should
the
get
way
a
it
monthly.
read.
You should get a monthly.
I will be
yeah,
doing it
You'll
monthly.
get a monthly statement.
Okay,
And
yes, sir.
I think it would be good for people like her to be able to have who has back bills, so she knows that ahead of time for all of those properties. Because if she needs to get them caught up, then she might need to adjust it more than $13.
So it will be my responsibility
And that,
to
that's-
get the call done.
right, so
That's
I think
another
I
question.
think that's important that you know, so
Yes.
you can
Thank you.
get them caught up, that protects you in the long
Sure.
run.
Sure. Yes, ma'am. Okay, I think that's what I had to ask. I appreciate your time, and hopefully, I can just, Ms. Garrett, this is my first time seeing you. My name is Kayla, and I would have just assumed that I would come to you with any other billing type questions.
Well, you can, but the best person in your case to talk to is gonna be Jennifer Odom.
Wonderful. Yes, ma'am. Okay.
She's familiar with the
And I'm
y'all's
familiar with
properties.
Miss Jennifer.
Mhm.
Yes, ma'am.
So she can help you more so than
I do have one
in
other
your
thing looking at my
situation.
notes right here. I know garbage happens every week. As far as this notice and me informing mine, and them being able to make their adjustments from month to month, being a subsidized home, is there any sort of grace period? The bills just run, right?
The bills run, and I'm afraid what you're gonna find out with your properties is there's been multiple tenants in the same residence that has not paid.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's one thing that we have a lot of times in situations like yours.
Yes, ma'am.
Where you're gonna be responsible for it, but it was not just one renter.
But even though I've never, I never received that until
But it's
now.
always been the law.
I understand what you're
Yeah.
saying, I understood that at the beginning.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's always been the law.
All right, thank you for your time.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
You have a good evening. All right. Yes, ma'am.
Joy Odom, and we have rental property in the county, and I think that I may be asking the same question she did. In the past, when you had a tenant move and they had a large accrued bill, if you could provide an address, it would follow them. But now it's not gonna follow them, right?
No.
So we're gonna be responsible for all of everything that's due.
Yes.
Okay, that was my question.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm not like rest most of all this, I guess it got to do with most people that got rental. I guess on the property, I don't know why I received this letter. I don't rent nothing, anything at all.
Do you have any family that lives on your property?
No,
And
ma'am.
then it would not apply to you. You just need to contact the Governor Triangle Planning and Development District Billing Office and talk to them about your situation.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Thank you, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. So my name is Monica Perry. I'm here on behalf of my aunt, who's an elder lady, senior citizen. Her daughter lives on her property, and she received a notice of pay for $2,500. Her daughter receives that service, and my aunt pays her bill. So she wants to know, why would she be penalized because her daughter didn't pay?
The daughter lives in a mobile home on her property.
Yes, ma'am.
She's responsible for whoever's living on her property.
Okay.
She left
Even
her,
though
yeah,
she
well, see,
pays her.
yeah, what we run into so far in situations like that. So a lot of times then people won't pay just because they don't know that they don't have anything to lose.
Okay, so how does she go about rectifying it and charging her daughter and letting her daughter pay that penalty?
Her daughter has not been willing to pay.
Because her vehicle isn't registered to her home. So how do you get her vehicle registered to her home and pass that book on to her?
To the daughter?
Yes, ma'am.
Is the bill in the daughter's name?
The bill comes to her, sir, oh, yes, ma'am, it's in her name.
And her daughter has not paid the bill if it's
Right.
$2,500.
Exactly.
And so we've got to go against the property owner to start getting it paid. The property owner is who's allowing the person to live on the property.
Okay.
But to help your grandmother, and I'm not suggesting that she may not wanna do this, but our issue is, we don't have a connection to the granddaughter, I guess
Yes,
is who
sir.
this is, but you on your grandmother's behalf could take her to justice court to deal with this.
So is that her only recourse, is to take her to justice court? I mean, is there no other way to sever this situation?
As long as she owns the property. The person that owns the property.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
And I think that is a very concerning issue, that we're gonna run into a lot of people that are finding out that these bills are tremendous.
Yeah.
And they're gonna be tied to their tag and their property when they come up to get their tag, that they can't get their tag for their car until they pay the garbage bill.
Maybe just to offer a little bit of background of how we got to this point. About a month, maybe 2 months ago, we did a house count, of all of the houses. Somebody helped me, the number was, they discovered that there's an extra
2,000 difference.
homes that's not being built. So, starting January 1st, the Golden Triangle Waste Services is going to start building Oktibbeha County for an extra 2,000 homes that they previously have not been building us. And in order to absorb that cost is basically what we're doing. I mean, the county is offering the services. County's picking up your garbage. But we're asking everybody to do their part, because if you don't, guess what's gonna happen? We're gonna have to raise garbage bill fees to cover this cost. But if everybody would pay their garbage bill, then we won't have to even consider that. But at this point, you all have heard the bills, how high they've gotten. $2,500, $3,000. I've had people call me. So basically, people are just not paying that garbage bill, especially if they're living on somebody else's property and they live there and run up a $2,500 garbage bill. Then they decide, well, okay, I'm gonna head somewhere else. I'm gonna pack up, I'm gonna move. And that's just basically, especially if they move to another state, Octavia County just, we don't have the resources to track everybody down, to try to take them to court to make them pay. So basically, the easiest thing to do is $156 a year for your garbage bill. If some tenants think that they're not gonna be able to get that person to pay monthly, maybe you can ask them, hey, just write me a check for $156. Your garbage bill is paid for the year. You don't have to worry about it. And then therefore, you don't have to try chasing them down each month. Just basically add $156 to their rent for the year. And then we just look at the property owner. But basically what I'm saying is, we're not out to stick it to anybody. We just, Octavia County has lost so much money, and we're trying to keep from having to raise garbage bill prices. And if everybody would just pay the garbage bill, and you know, I've heard all kinds of excuses. You know, you get the services. Well, I didn't do it, but basically, you know if your garbage is getting picked up every Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. So basically, that's just a little background of how we got to this point. We're getting ready to be charged for an extra 2,000 homes starting January 1st. So that's basically where we're at with it.
I got a question. I got a couple of questions, and then I'm gonna be through. What about people that staying out of state that don't even get your sewer? Don't even have a garbage can? And then, wait a minute, hold on. I got two questions. What about these folks got raggedy garbage cans? Old people have to hire somebody to come by their house and drag them to the road. And I know what it is, and I ain't gonna tell y'all what it is. I'm gonna see who y'all find. Now y'all tell me that.
That's pretty simple. On the garbage can, we get those replaced pretty quickly. We're notified. So all they gotta do is notify. All they gotta do is notify us, and we can take care of that.
I deliver upwards of 10 a week sometimes.
I know what I'm talking
You know, I know, and there's a lot of garbage cans, wheels off, but we can't know where every single one of them. We depend on the person to call and say, hey, listen, wheels off my garbage can, tops off my garbage can. Can you bring me one? And we all keep them, stacks of them, and we throw them on the truck and take them manually. So.
Do we have anybody else that has not spoken? So we can go ahead and bring this to a close.
Can I ask you one question?
You didn't answer my question. What about the people that's out of state, that don't be here nothing but a week in the summer or a week in the wintertime?
If they have, if they're keeping the if they're keeping the electricity on during that time, then it will generate a garbage bill.
Okay, let me ask another question.
Sir, could you come to the front so that we can hear
A
you?
lot of insurance companies won't insure your house if you cut the electricity off. I can talk loud enough where you can hear me.
But state law says if it's generating,
I just wanna know.
if it generates
supposed to be
an
paid
electric
too.
bill or a power bill, then we get charged from the Golden Triangle a monthly bill. We as Octavia
County.
County.
I'm gonna see what I come here to add.
Well,
That's
Ms.
state law.
Gray, Gwen Gray called it with the same question. People that only come in
A lot
town
of people
for
got that question.
one or 2 weeks out of the year, have a home and have not been getting a garbage bill, don't have a garbage can sitting at their house, and then they got the letter.
They
Same
can
thing,
get a
camp
garbage
houses.
can, but if they lived in the city limits, they would get their garbage bill on their electric bill. We don't have that luxury to put it on electric bills, so
Well,
it'll come
It is a
separate.
problem.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that's why I voted to get out of this
I was the
myself.
same way.
And I still wish we could get out of, garbage service with Golden Triangle, because this is what we face as a county.
Well, we're gonna face that no matter
We're
who we
continuing to
with.
face it, but
we're required by state law to have a garbage service. I understand what
Sure.
you're saying.
No, I'm saying with this garbage service.
That's, I don't
Well,
see.
that's a whole different
Yeah.
dilemma. Ms. Oswald, last
That was
person.
just a side note right there, I guess.
One problem, I thought somebody else would address this, but I'm gonna say it. When, several years ago, under a different supervisor, I had a little garbage problem, wasn't a big problem, but I called and came by the people where you pay your bill, and asked them about it. They said, only thing we do is collect the money. Call the landfill office. I called out there and they said, not our problem. I called my supervisor and he said, I don't get involved in that kind of thing, that's a garbage problem. My question, in other words, to just put it in the vernacular, I felt like a little boy that had wet a dark suit. I got a good warm tingly feeling, but nobody was paying a bit of attention. Now, my question to you is this. Why don't we, I don't have a problem with paying a garbage bill, it's a wonderful service. But when you have a little problem, who do you call to get it addressed? It's not Ms. Miller's problem. It's not Ms. Garrett's problem. There should be a number that you pick up and call and say, hey, my garbage can is kind of like Avance was talking about, mine's all to pieces too. But, I just hope for the best.
You call your supervisor.
Yeah.
Your supervisor will
We'll get
take
you
care of that
garbage, yeah.
can the next day.
I took
Well,
cans
Well,
out
if you
today.
have a billing or whatever the problem, there should be a number that you call and say, hey, got a problem here.
There was a lot of numbers that you called, but it looks to me like you got the buck passed on you. In
So
my
say-
position, I don't have
took care of him.
I don't have the opportunity to decide what's my problem and not my problem, what's my responsibility. If you call my office, I will do everything I can to help you get your problem.
And you've already done that, and I
Your problem
appreciate it.
solved.
And the young
So I guess I am that one call number.
And the young lady at the building services, she has directed tons of people to me to get them a garbage can. So there's help out there. I know there's circumstances, extenuating circumstances sometimes, but basically, there's help out there. Golden Triangle Plan and Development will help you if you call them. Somebody get you some help. I mean, like we said, John delivered garbage cans a day. We deliver upwards of 10 garbage cans a week sometimes to people, so. I understand what you're saying, it's frustrating when you get the buck passed, but I think if you get a hold to the right person, somebody's willing to help you.
And again, what we got going on here is not perfect, but we're doing everything we can to keep the cost down for the residents.
Yes, ma'am, I understand what you're saying, and like I said, all I was saying is, there needs to be a number, and I guess that your number is it. That you call and say, hey, got a problem here.
And I'll do my best to help you find somebody that can.
And I certainly appreciate knowing that.
And listen, I sympathize with the young lady that said, her mother's daughter live on her property. I sympathize with that. But at the end of the day, somebody's gonna have to be responsible, for that garbage bill. And if, basically, it's not good for the people who are paying their garbage bills and paying them on time. And then you got the other people who won't pay their garbage bill. Ultimately, somebody's gonna have to be responsible for that bill.
Yeah, I sympathize with that particular person also, but I think there should be a grace period. A grace period now between the time she had to pay that $2,500.
Because you can't tie it to the
Yeah, I mean,
tax.
there's some
And I'm sure
There
considerations.
will be a situation worked out for these
Are we
people
gonna
that
assess it to the taxes?
start paying
To the
in
land
the
taxes?
cases where
That's
family
what we're
members
gonna do?
living on there. We're gonna work something out with them where they're not gonna have to come up with all of it at one time.
All of them at one time, and I think that's the answer that the person was looking for.
But they're gonna have to take responsibility
that
for
has
it.
left. I don't know whether
Yeah.
she's still here or
She
not.
left.
But,
She'll get down when she
yeah.
wants.
As I keep on telling everybody, if they will pay it monthly, it's easier than trying to pay it once your tax held.
Anything else from the board? Well, we certainly appreciate the discussion that was had here tonight on this item, and if you would like to, we can move forward to the next item on the agenda. And that is,
Yeah, we gotta carry, vote to adopt. Well, actually, to start enforcing the law, really.
we don't have to. Nothing to vote on.
It was just,
Y'all want-
we were trying to get notice to everybody, but there wasn't anything really to vote on, the law didn't change.
Just
Yeah, but
informing, just.
what's bothering me is attaching
Okay.
that to the property owner's address. Now, I understand that.
Okay, but here's the thing.
There's two addresses on that
Well,
place.
Right,
That's the renter's address and that's the property.
according to Ms. Garrett,
I understand.
according to Ms. Garrett, we will need to take some action.
If they're saying,
And if
okay,
you all
so
want to,
if
we
they-
can,
if
if you want to table it to
Stay
whenever.
two,
I mean,
two days,
not a
2
problem.
days a week. Their tag is not in the state of Mississippi anyway.
Yeah,
So we're
right.
not gonna collect from them anyway. Does that make sense?
No, you can't collect them. That's why the property owner gotta be
Because
responsible
we
for it
haven't
anyway.
passed the law that we're gonna put it on land taxes.
Okay.
So these
Let's-
people that are coming that.
Let's move on to the next item, assessment changes. Mr. Morgan, is anybody here ready? Nobody here?
No, they're both,
They're
all
in our
sick.
pocket?
They're all
They're-
sick.
They changed in our packet? No changes?
Yes, there are, yes,
Yeah,
there are.
stay with that
Do
address.
y'all have any,
Miss Kuban's sick and so is
We
Al.
haven't changed the
I
law
talked
that
to
it's
both
gonna
of
be
them today.
have you looked at them? You all in agreement with it?
I am.
Yeah.
Okay,
Right now,
we got a motion by
it's
Supervisor Montgomery, a second by Supervisor Howard, that we go ahead and accept the assessment change. Any questions concerning the motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the proper vote sign. Motion passes unanimously. Mr. Benson, water tower bid results.
Hardly ever sweat, it's hard to feel.
Oh, yeah.
You're up.
You get that type of swag.
Y'all will keep me around a little bit longer. Good evening.
Good evening, man.
Good evening, Ms. Benson.
Your contract with the Mississippi Development Authority for your ARC grant to construct the elevated water tank in the new industrial park will expire January the 18th, 2020. So, we should be able to get it extended without a great deal of heartburn, but to get that ball rolling, we need to request an extension. They'll let us request extensions no greater than 12 months. We know we're gonna need a little bit longer than that since we're not under construction yet, but I bring to you a letter tonight requesting a 12-month contract extension, which will get you to January the 18th, 2021, so.
Motion for extension.
Motion by Supervisor Williams, second by
Second.
Supervisor
We
Howard.
need
Are there
that
questions concerning the motion?
That's
All
3
those in
months.
favor, let it be known by the appropriate vote sign.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimous. Thank you, Ms. Benson. Anything else?
No, we have received bids. I do not have a bid tab sheet. They are under review by your engineer, which is Neil Schaefer Engineering, and at your next meeting, I hope to be able to bring that to you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Appreciate all you do.
Thank you, Ms. Benson.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Moving to the next item, Chancellor Clerk business. Ms. Livingston, anything from Chancellor Clerk?
I don't have anything tonight.
All right, moving right back to Ms. Gary, County Business Administration.
Payroll changes.
Motion by Supervisor Miller, second by Supervisor Montgomery. Are there any questions concerning the motion? If not, all those in favor, let it be known by the proper vote sign. Motion passes unanimously.
Say this one real loud, this next one.
Don't have
Blackjack.
Advertise Blackjack Road
Hey,
construction project.
hey.
We'll make that motion.
We advertised last week and we need to advertise again, but I need a board order for it.
You got a board order, motion for
Motion by
approval.
Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Howard. Are there any questions concerning the motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the proper vote sign. Motion passes unanimously.
That's paper guys. that-
Historical TAP grant, we got our first invoice on it that the county agreed to match the funds, split the funds with MSU and City Historical. I would like to do an inter-fund transfer over to the fund. I have to set up for $50,000 to start it with.
Motion by Supervisor Miller, second by Supervisor Montgomery. Are there any questions concerning that motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the proper vote sign. Motion passes unanimous.
The first invoice that we received for the county reimbursement of it is $2,966.56. Need an order to reimburse the city of that
Motion
amount.
for approval?
Motion by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Miller. Are there any questions concerning the motion? All those in favor, let it be known by their proposed sign. Motion passes unanimously.
Adoption of Center Ridge Drive and Crest Oak Drive out in District 2. We did an order last December to accept them after 12 months. 12 months is up. Need an order to accept these.
Motion by
Oh, you
Supervisor-
want to do it since
I
they're
got
your
it written
roads?
down. Motion by Supervisor Miller, second by Supervisor Howard. Any questions concerning the motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the proposed sign. Motion passes unanimously.
Attorney Robinson will draw up the conveyance that's for it. Y'all all sign your annual road inspection affidavits. I need a motion to acknowledge
So moved.
that they were turned over to the
Second.
Chancery Clerk.
Motion by Supervisor Montgomery, second by Supervisor Howard. Are there any questions concerning the motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the proposed sign.
Supervisor Trainer, I think
We need it.
Mr. Boyd needs to come before the board along with the other gentleman from the Department of Health.
Okay. Mr. Jarvis Boyd, come on forward this time, you know, represent EMA tonight. Got a presentation for us. Good evening, sir. Good evening.
How are y'all?
You got it.
I got one.
I ain't gonna make this a little bit larger print.
Sorry.
I was gonna tell you about this, it's the grant for the jail.
Well, of course, we know that the mitigation monies are available to jail to get that repaired. Right now, they're only given $100,550.47. There's also additional mitigation money to also add on top of it, which is the 404 mitigation for that grant, because that was the maximum amount that they would award the county, which came up to $93,500 for that if the county were to go ahead and apply for it. Kristen, one of her main objectives is to see if she get approval to basically be the person to sign off on the grant, the contact person, the signature for the grant, simply because there were some changes in the amount that took place over the course of that time. The quicker that someone's able, such as Kristen, to sign off on that grant, then the counties can get that money that has already been awarded. Now, the $93,500, the county can apply for that at a later date, which would add up to be that $194,050.47. So she's basically gonna actually be that.
She's just the receiver.
Yes, the receiver.
The total grant, the total project came up to 200 and something thousand. And from talking to Kristen and everything, the county's part gonna end up being like 73,000. We're gonna have to add to this to do the repairs at the jail, based on Mr. Richards'
Estimates.
preliminary estimates. So.
And that's to, like I said, that's to
we're
fix a
allowing
bad problem.
Kristen to sign off on this, knowing that we're gonna pay 73,000, which is good.
I move we grant the request.
Motion by Supervisor
I'll
Howard,
second
second by
that.
Supervisor Montgomery.
We've got
Are there
it.
any questions concerning that motion? If not, all those in favor, let it be known by the proposed sign. Motion passes unanimously.
Just so I'm clear, but this is a motion to allow Casey to be, I'm using her initials, to be the receiver for the grant and sign off on, what is this called?
She's accepting the grant, money on behalf of the board.
This is for the jail.
This is for that ditch that's just.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
That
washout
Is the
wall.
program FEMA though, it's through FEMA?
Yes, yes.
And it's necessary.
Yeah, the faster FEMA can get that signature, the faster the county can get those monies back in. That's already been awarded.
Yeah, she, allow her to sign as the
She'll be the signing
signatory
person.
Right.
to apply and accept the grant.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Also, one other thing, she wanted me to introduce the board, the communication manager for the position that the board approved previously. And she's sitting back there, Ms. Kendra Mobley, and she just wanted me to introduce her to the board on today, on this evening.
Glad to have you on board.
Glad to have you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Boyd.
Thank you.
All right, moving along to the next item. Ms. Gary, you have anything else from the administration?
It's just the man from the Department of Health here.
He won't? Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Listen, call it Field. Caulfield. That's it.
Good evening to y'all, and I appreciate y'all allowing me to come talk to you for just a few minutes. I am David Caulfield, and I'm the regional administrator for the area of the state that encompasses Oktibbeha County. And I was coming to talk to you tonight about to kind of give you an update on something and request some assistance. We have the health department right down here that's located next to the Department of Human Services. We also have the WIC Food Center that's located down on Old Highway 25. And in about a year and a half, that food center where we issue out food packages is going to close because we're going to an EBT card where people can shop for their WIC items in a grocery store. So we have some staff that we're trying to relocate back to the health department in town. However, we just don't have the space for them. And so what I've done some research on is to see if we couldn't add on to the building that is currently there, and can get the financial support for that through the grant that supplies WIC, the national grant. Unfortunately, looking at the site, I just don't see the site where the health department is at is going to be big enough to really add on the space that we would need. No, sir, it doesn't. And we would have to add on sites for about 8 additional people, a waiting room, bathrooms, that sort of thing. And I just don't see where the site's going to hold that up. So, you know, what I wanted to try to do then is begin to approach the board on the possibilities of either getting a new property with the board or seeing what assistance the board can give as far as building a new building, you know, through a block grant or whatever, with some assistance that we can get through this WIC federal program to pay part of it. But that's only the part that WIC would be occupying. We still do certifications for WIC with our certifiers, nutritionists, and things like that. We just won't issue the food packages anymore.
Do you have in mind a square footage that you think you might need to?
Well, it would probably be about 2,500 square feet. And over there, I was trying to do some measurements over there, and at the end of the building, headed south, there's just kind of a small little area and then some parking places, which is about 1,350 square feet. So we're just not quite there, and the way the lot is, you know, the geographic-ness of the lot, it's got high ground and low ground and a steep incline coming up off the street. I just don't know how it can be done. We do have some issues with the building that, you know, just it's very small for our staff to begin with. Years ago, they renovated part of the attic. Well, it's a really steep staircase, very narrow and very steep, and people have to go up and down that on a daily basis multiple times for their offices, and that's frightening. You know, we don't have an elevator or anything in there, so there's just some concerns about the building that really need to be addressed.
I guess when I read your email, and all the time I was thinking, why don't we think about a new health building rather than trying to add on to that existing building that we already have problems with. And we have talked about that building in the past as not being sufficient to serve the clients that we have come through there. So if you're asking us to look into the possibility, and without any promises being made,
Sure.
Certainly I think we should look into the possibility of, a lot of this is state money. I don't know.
And federal money as well.
State and federal money.
Correct.
So we don't know yet how much matching money you might ask for.
Right.
Whether this might be an 80-20 match
Well,
or something.
and it's, you know, if it's a CBDG grant, you know, that's, and I don't know if y'all got a project going on for that or not, you know, but if the funding could really be directed through that and looking at a total cost, then I know that we can look to the WIC national program to get that cost to cover that that part of the building or the space that would be occupied 100%, because that's part of their federal grant. Now, there are other federal grant supported programs in the building that I've already asked to see if they could do the same thing that the WIC could do. I just haven't gotten answers on that yet, because I was hoping to be able to come in here and say, we want to add on to the building and we can pay for it. And had the site been that, you know,
But
sufficient.
that is what the email said, that you all could add on and pay for it.
Correct.
That the state would pay for the addition.
Well, it
But
would be
now
the
we're
federal
not-
program.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but we're not talking about adding on now as a possibility.
I just don't see how it's possible. I would love to just be able to add on and be over and done with it, but, and, because it can be paid for.
Is there not any property at the WIC buildings that you're not gonna be using it?
Well, we don't own that building, and the county doesn't own that building. That's a rented space, and so we're not, you know, we could do it for a short term if the federal program realized that we were moving to something more permanently. They wouldn't have a problem, and I say short term, you know, a year and a half, maybe 2, because that's how long it would take a project to move through the process, but
So you
not
said,
permanent.
how many personnel did you say you had at the WIC place, and then you'll bring them all over? Or
It would
is
be
there-
7, yes.
Okay, 7. So I mean, cutting this out is not gonna eliminate any of the
No,
employees, I'm asking.
it does eliminate employees, but not this amount, because these are the certifying staff, which have breastfeeding coaches and things like that support the whole WIC program.
So does it negate the money, the funding that you will get if you don't add on to the health department? If there was a spot of land that was found and you just build your 2,500 square foot building, could you still get the money?
I'm not sure, to be honest with you, to answer you completely honestly, because as I understand it at this point, the federal requirements are that, you know, that it's got to be a part of the overall agency or the overall, the agency, which would be the Department of Health, and not for it to be a separate location.
Do you
Not
have,
permanently, anyway.
do you have any idea of, for argument's sake, and I'm not suggesting to you that, I'm not speaking for this board, I just need
Sure.
to get my head wrapped around something. Do y'all have certain parameters or requirements as to where you are to be located? In other words, is there a particular location in Oktibbeha County that you are supposed to be?
As far as the entire health department?
Right.
No, sir.
So there is possibilities that location in general could be done away with, and a
Correct.
new location could be
That
picked.
is absolutely correct. That's up to the board is how we would, you know, do that.
And if there was an alternate location, there would be funds to pay rent or buy?
Are you talking, if so, it's a location that the county doesn't own, is that what you're saying, or, I mean?
She said if you're trying to get out of the rent situation, you're not wanting to pay rent, you want to be in a county-owned building. like
Correct,
the other-
correct.
other health department.
Correct. They would allow that temporarily, and again, they,
And the only reason, we had another group that came that was in a county building, and they wanted to revamp it and make it nicer, and they wanted us to sign the bond, but they were gonna make the bond payments, if y'all remember. They never went through with it. Once they got in there, they realized a lot of the requirements were more than they could afford to pay. But that's the reason I was asking, there be resources when you were talking about grants, and you were talking about federal money and state money, if there was resources to reimburse.
reimburse the county for expenses. I mean,
Or, you know, yes,
Yeah.
or some type of.
I think, the way I think it would work is like if you got a $3 million project, and if it was rated to where WIC, for example, would have this much space and that equates to $1 million, then WIC would pay that $1 million up front, you know, or the portion of the overall building, which would be that $1 million, you know, for the total project. And what like I said, I've talked to several other programs that have they're federally funded that are smaller than WIC, but to see if their federal grants would support the same thing WIC would be supporting. And I just don't know that because they're very, very different. They're managed very differently. And some federal projects don't allow you to do that. So I just don't know. But they would just pay their portion if it was prorated by square footage and common square footage, you know,
And how soon is this? Because we do know, like, there's one industry that's going to move off Highway 12 and move, you know, and that's a pretty big area that's going to move out to the industrial park. How quickly are you looking to relocate? I know that's not a county building, though.
They're gonna tear that down.
Oh, they are? Okay. Scratch that idea.
Can you?
He thought, until when I talked to him on Friday, he thought that we could renovate this one for it, but he can't. Now, what were you telling me about Lauderdale County, that they just
Well, a lot of, and of course, the building is probably dates to the late 70s, early 80s, but they've got a site large enough, but they built a building that accommodates the Department of Human Services and the Department of Health, their Child Protective Services, which is now another entity, that, you know, they've added on an annex for that, so, of course, they've got a huge site, and it's, you know, we just don't have that here at this location.
Sure.
Now, that would be a great idea because, of course, you know, the same folks that utilize our services utilize those services, and, you know.
and it was completely grant funded?
I would assume so. I mean, I don't. I'm sure it was. I'm sure it was done through Community Development Block Grant.
We have land, I mean, that, I don't know that would be the.
It's the building.
Unless we build on the same side.
Well, you're actually where I'm at, my brain.
Yeah,
Take
go
it-
up.
Go up.
Go up.
We'd have to knock down.
Knock that thing down, y'all,
Yeah.
that thing's.
There's a really nice facility in Maven that would house.
You nailed where I was at.
And
uh,
where?
In Maven.
Okay.
The town of Maven.
You say knock that whole thing
That
down
would
around
house
and
a lot of lawsuits.
Which one are you talking about?
Redo that.
Maybe where he's
Go.
looking at.
I agree, that's what I was thinking.
Bulldoze.
One we, yeah, that's right, we make room there.
Bulldoze it and incorporate them into a nicer, no, it's embarrassing to
Yeah.
what they're in over there right now.
You know,
It is.
and something I'd want to add
Justice
to.
Court somewhere after we make all that area up in there.
We're trying to revamp the health department, and we're in the process of doing that as a health department of the future. You know, at one time,
Yeah,
our doors
I
were
like
busting loose
Yeah.
with people that came to us. And then, you know, as other providers out in the community started providing some of those services, people went to those. So we kind of downgraded, and we've adjusted to that downsizing. But, you know, we're finding that people don't have anywhere else to go for access to care. And they don't come to us for runny noses and earaches and things like that. They come to us, women, for women's health, where they will do breast and cervical cancer screenings by nurse practitioners and then referred out to providers. They come to us for women's health to do pap smears and, you know, and all kinds of things. And of course we do immunizations, but we treat STDs. We treat, you know, other communicable diseases like TB. All those kinds of things that no other provider is out there to do. And, you know, anybody can treat for TB, and we do have TB, but nobody else is gonna do surveillance for TB to prevent that person from spreading it around the community. Same way with STDs. Any doctor can treat an STD, but they're not gonna go track down how it's being spread out through the community and trying to stop it. And that's our mission. And so we get people that don't have anywhere else to go. You know, we treat the TB on a long-term basis and all the contacts that they've made because doctors in the community aren't able to do that. And, you know, we're revamping our image to be, you know, the image for a new health department that needs to have happened 20 years ago, to be honest with you.
Do y'all have a standard allotment for space that could be looked at as well as the other departments, so that we can at least see if that location, and if we could put some grant funding together with a lot of different pieces, it's possible that what we're talking about could be pieced together. But I think that if you're gonna do this, I frankly would tell y'all that sewing on a silk purse to a sow's ear is probably not gonna work real well. And where you're talking about over there,
Right.
that location, it's served its purpose, but we're gonna have to do something to that building at some point, whether it's redo the roof and go in and gut it or do something. This may be an opportunity to put some pieces together. With the permission of this board, would it be okay if you and I got with each
Sure.
other and
That'd be great.
communicated and tried to figure out what the budget would look like and see what places we can find money?
Okay.
If that's okay?
Yeah,
Grant money.
That's what I'm thinking.
Grant money, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank y'all so much. for-
We glad the state wants to do something, help
Yes,
us out.
well, I appreciate that.
Ms. Gary, do you have anything?
No, sir.
Okay. I know in your packet, I have 2 items of county business. One of them is a cover request. On the request is in your packet, the name individual says Mr. Jimmy Reed, but it's really Jimmy Reed. And I think there's a notice in there from the road department and justification for installing that access cover for Mr. Reed on Stewart Road, and we need board approval to get that done for him.
Motion for approval?
Motion by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Howard. Are there any questions concerning the motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the appropriate vote sign. And the second request was, we discussed it not long ago, but I think the board wanted me to get more justification for it. I do have the right-of-way entry agreement signed by Mr. Willie T. Jones, and the justification in the road department is also in there as it relates to how it's going to improve the drainage and also enhance the structure of the roadway. That's on 16 Section Road. Motion by Supervisor Montgomery, second by Supervisor Williams. Are there any questions concerning that motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the clerk vote sign. Motion passed unanimously. Supervisor Miller, you have anything District 4 we need? Supervisor
Merry
Williams?
Christmas.
Yes, ma'am.
Happy New Year.
Yes, ma'am. Supervisor Williams, anything from District 5?
There's a landowner, Joe Daly, on Daly Road, is requesting a cover to be put down as access to his property. Wanted to get to his property.
Motion by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Montgomery. Are there any questions concerning the motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the clerk vote sign. Motion passed unanimously. Anything else, Supervisor Williams?
No, don't have anything.
Supervisor Howard, anything from District 3?
Thursday is the day that we'll vote to start being billed for those extra houses, if everybody is comfortable, satisfied, with your numbers.
This is Thursday?
This is this coming Thursday,
I-
right.
I would prefer that if that's the case, then y'all vote on, we need an order.
No, I think we need to, the board is,
I hate to do that to y'all, but.
we get a motion second on favorable vote.
To do what?
Well, how does this order need to be?
To change the billing from renter to property owner.
The reason I'm saying
Okay.
that, if they're changing the way they're
This-
fixed to do something.
Okay. We sort of talking two separate things.
I know.
Talking about the numbers, is what he's talking about. The new growth, the new
What
houses.
they gonna start billing us
The
for
new
the
house
1st of
count.
January. I guess, I don't know if we need a board order, I mean, I was just,
No, you were talking one thing and he came up, started talking another thing.
okay.
So
But
you're
it's
wrong.
connected.
Okay.
The two are
Okay.
connected because we're fixing to start getting a bill, is the point that I'm making.
Correct.
Okay. What do you?
I'm talking about this coming Thursday, we have our garbage meeting, and in that meeting, that's when we'll vote for the Golden Triangle Waste Services to start billing Octobah County for those added houses.
Kim, on that, I would ask this, and Golden Triangle, the number of houses that they have that they're billing us for, could they share that information with our billing department at the PDD? Because that's where the discrepancy is that the
Yeah,
PDD doesn't
That's
have
right.
what they see as an accurate number. Now, the Golden Triangle has a number. I wish that they would send that in more detail to our billing department, because that's where the girls aren't able to,
They thought they could cross.
I mean, they're doing everything they can to try to make that number as accurate as possible. But in other words, if a house is abandoned, or like that lady was saying, burned down, you know, and there's a lot of houses that are out in the county that were there that are not there anymore, mobile homes. I just wish that they could go down, in other words, as we as the person we, Oktibbeha County, we're the ones paying the Golden Triangle. I would like for that count to be shared with our billing department.
I don't see where that's a problem. I mean, I don't.
Okay, good. Well, just ask them if they can do
the
that.
Golden Triangle will call down and get the numbers. I mean, I don't really see a problem with that.
I think we're not looking at numbers.
No, wait, Miss Emily, explaining what I'm explaining is that, I mean, there are houses that are, and I rode that road, and I got with the billing department and did as much as I could, but there are some discrepancies in that number. You know, in the past, they had given, in other words, it was per road, you know, so many livable houses, so many churches, so many under construction businesses. And that has not been provided to us, to my satisfaction. And that's all I was just gonna say when you meet them, is to, even if they have to start over and do another count, you know, explain to me what we're paying for. That's all I'm asking, so.
John, I guess I'm actually a little confused. What happened was, and let me kind of say, if I drive down and make a count, you paying me, and I come back to you and say, John, I counted 500 extra houses. That's what I counted. Now I guess it's up to you to go and make sure what I counted is correct. I mean, they've counted, and you know, I can't. We came here about 2 months ago saying that this was going to take place. So
I get that, but what I'm saying is the count that they gave us wasn't nearly detailed enough. In other words, I would like to see specific Turkey Creek Road, exactly how many houses are on Turkey Creek Road, how many houses are on Chapel Hill Road. Instead, it was, you know, we've all seen it, it would say, hey, from Crawford Road to Moore High or Okthock Road, there's 1,700 and something houses. And it wouldn't go into detail, hey, Robinson Road, Crawford, Bethesda, Rice, Appaloosa, Krigler. In other words, I would like to see it more detailed.
Yeah.
And I've said that all along.
I'd like to add something, to that. We're dealing with numbers, but we really need to be dealing with addresses. And I think Golden Triangle Waste Management should tell us not how many numbers, but what addresses they are billing us for.
Correct.
If they are billing us for 519 Okthock Road, they should have an itemized statement saying these are the addresses that we are billing you for. So we can go to those addresses and say, no, you shouldn't be billing for 519 Okthock because no one is there. Or we could say that there's a barn there and no one is living there. So they don't need to give us numbers. They really need to give us addresses.
Golden Triangle cross-reference as well.
Right.
To give us addresses. Yeah,
That would
that's
eliminate
not
a lot of the issues.
Yeah, that would resolve a lot of the issues there. Cause if you can give me any number, you can just come up with a number and give me a number.
Y'all, from a legal standpoint, my question is, once y'all determine that that's the number is, because it sounds like Thursday's the day.
yeah. And I've been saying this for the last couple of months.
I think that part of this is, for lack of a better way of putting this, I don't think you're gonna get that information by Thursday, I guess is a fair assessment. If they go and agree to this number, I'm wondering, from a contractual standpoint, could we not go back and continue checking these?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, that may get us that answer that we're trying to figure out.
mention to somebody the raid that we got, that count that John's talking about back in the olden days was when this board did not agree and would not pay them until that was done.
So your point being that maybe we,
I'm not making any point, I'm just telling you the way that arrived.
I think for the county that we do need the information, and I know we have been discussing this some, you know, and I know we wanted to send the notice out. You know, I'm one that's been very concerned that we didn't give rental property owners a long enough notice, you know. So I think that it would be good that we say, hey, we've got to have the addresses.
I don't know if they don't
I
have the
don't-
actual address, but they should be able to tell us by road. And I do know that there was a problem with where we were getting billed for so many businesses.
Right, that, now you and Mary Ann was supposed to be working that part out.
She hasn't given me any information, just told me that they don't bill for any.
What did you request from her?
The name of the
That I can take that to the
business
board.
that they billed us for.
Send me an email of what you requested, the information you requested from her, and then I can bring that to the board meeting, and I can tell Mary Ann, well, you hadn't did what you were supposed to do. I don't wanna go in the board meeting and we hadn't did what we supposed to do, telling them, no, hold up.
Well, let's
Because
just
I don't
draft a
think
letter
we have done what
more.
we supposed to do actually, to the fullest, to be honest with you.
Let's draft a letter for them to take Thursday.
I
from
just
the
think
board.
we need a little more
Yeah,
detail,
we need more detailed
you
information.
know, that we can track.
Here's the situation. You can request what you want, we'll take it to them. It's probably gonna be enough votes to say, let's move forward with the count that they gave us. And then it's up to us to determine whether or not we're gonna withhold payment. Then it's up to them to determine whether or not they're gonna withhold services.
But it might be that it's up to them to provide us a road count, like we had before.
My question is this, why are we just not asking for this? I told it,
I've been asking for
2
this
months
for a
ago,
while.
we came and said this was coming. Why, I had time last board meeting, or the meeting before that, to say, okay, this is what we want. Why, now all of us, right, 2 days before time, now you're saying this is what we want.
I asked,
That's my problem.
I get it, but and I'm just telling you, I asked for a more detailed count. If we're the ones that are paying for it, they're the
Okay,
ones
let me
billing.
ask you this.
That's why
If
I'm
they,
asking.
let me ask you this though, and I get what you're saying. If they give you a detailed count on your road, can you confirm it? Are you gonna ride that road and see?
I've rode a lot of it, yeah.
But I'm asking, so are you not, I'm asking, regardless of, they can go out and give you another number, if you don't go out and ride it, you still can't confirm.
Well, that's what I've done. There's a lot of them in there that are not,
Okay, well, let me
They're-
ask
they're
you this.
incorrect.
Have you ridden yours to see what you got? So when they come back with a number, you can dispute it? Okay, then good enough.
Any more discussion, anything else?
I'm good.
Anything District One Supervisor?
What type of correspondence, it's gonna
Robert
come from the
needs to
board?
Move on his next
Are
thing.
there any correspondence gonna come from the board in regards to that?
I
For
think it just,
detailed
I just
information?
think it gives them a better, and I appreciate y'all representing us at on the trash board. And I think now since this public hearing and, you know, now that we are to the end, that we've had a lot more questions and a lot more things that have come up. So I don't think that there's anything wrong with us asking to send in a letter from the Board of Supervisors of Oktibbeha County to ask the Golden Triangle Waste to supply us more detailed information.
example, addresses.
Addresses, we want addresses.
On the ones that we're getting billed for, they've got a number they're billing us for. It's like Supervisor Williams and
Yeah, they could've.
Supervisor Miller saying, why not say it's 101 Turkey
Just
Creek
came up
Road?
with any
Where are those houses at?
Do what?
Right, right.
Where are those houses?
That's all I asked for.
we can certainly draft a letter. I just need to be certain as to what it is that I'm asking for. So the
We want addresses.
Specific addresses down
Is
to
that
the
all?
exact
That-
number, not just a number, like Supervisor Williams was saying. What are the addresses in
And
that
that shouldn't be
number.
hard for them to do by road. I mean, it should pull up easy in
Yeah.
some type of
They-
format.
They've got to have that in this day of
On an Excel
technology.
form or something like that, it should not be hard.
I know our billing girls have all but around 1,000 of them, you know what I'm saying? So that's the discrepancy. They've got around 8,000 and some odd addresses. They're right at 9,000 at Golden Triangle. So that's the discrepancy.
Y'all, I'll get a letter together that basically asks for that, but I will also call, with the permission of this board, Shane Tompkins and ask him if they have something that could expedite this a little bit, and see if he already has something. Because there may be something that's already generated that that I'm just not aware of, and if that needs y'all's approval. But I think what we have to be at least aware of, and if I'm wrong, just say I'm not correct, but Thursday, this is gonna change.
Yep.
That's what I've
Correct.
gathered.
Yeah,
Okay.
we knew that all along. I'm just asking
Okay.
for more detail.
Just making sure.
But like you said, even if it changes, we can still go back and dispute.
Right.
Right.
And I think that's
Right.
the,
I
that's
mean,
the part that
that's
right.
we can,
Right.
we're not
Yeah.
shutting doors, we're just basically trying to get more information.
Right.
But,
That's vague, but
and
that's
I
all we're
would,
trying to do.
I would very much appreciate a formal request of what this board wants, cause it's just been nibbled out a little bit, and then we come back, and then you nibble a little bit more. Give me a list of items that this board is requesting, so we don't keep going back and forth like this.
All right, we're looking at an address, what else would be something that would be,
Okay, board, here's the time.
I would appreciate, because, you know, it says that they would maintain these cans, but they don't at all. And I would appreciate some assistance with that. I mean, I've gotten, just today, I got 5 phone calls for garbage cans, which is fine. But there again, this is part of their contract. That's my argument all along. That's why I voted to replace Golden Triangle as our garbage pickup, and I still would today. I mean, these are the issues that we're dealing with, and I've been asking all along for a more detailed list and some assistance on maintaining and replacing these garbage cans. You heard people say, I mean, they gotta hire somebody to drag it up to the road. Well, if we don't go out and fix these garbage cans, that we're getting billed for the garbage pickup as a county, if we as county supervisors don't go fix these cans, they never get fixed. So I would appreciate that organization that we contract out our garbage pickup to maintain, replace, and fix these garbage cans. That's quite simply what I would, another thing that I would appreciate from this group.
Anything else? Anything else?
The billing of the shops, it says in the contract that the shop, we don't pay for the shops.
Okay. So that's what you requested from Mayor Ann?
Yeah, well, it's contradictory to what the contract says.
Well, that's what we were supposed to be trying to get worked out.
Yeah.
You and Mayor Ann come to some sort of agreement, but you hadn't been able to because Mayor Ann hadn't responded.
Well, I haven't asked her about that because I didn't want to get in a fight with her about.
Yeah, but that's what we
the
were supposed to
contract
be asking
says.
about. I thought that's what
Okay.
you were supposed to be working with Mayor Ann on the businesses and the shops, and getting that part of it worked out.
Okay,
So-
then I have slacked off on my part. I did ask her about businesses, and she did not want to give me the names. And so, or told me that they didn't bill for any businesses.
So do they?
They bill us for business, yeah.
Okay,
40 of them.
that's, we just need we need the documentation so I can show it to her. I mean, that's pretty simple. Instead of going back and forth, let's just get the documentation. So when she say you don't, I can say, wait, here it is, you do.
Just like those churches.
I need the documentation. Those are the things we were trying to get worked out here.
You asked Miss Emily what she needs that she hasn't been able to get.
do you want to go ahead and since we're asking all this, we
Yeah,
maybe
you
go ahead and get
get
that
this,
board
it's all
order.
in the same deal, and Mr. Howard and Mr. Williams needs a copy of it. or when they have to get with it at the board meeting on Thursday.
All right, do we want to go ahead and do a board order for billing directly to property owners tonight
Yes.
as well?
Yeah, we need that.
The
All right.
PDD cannot start that process without a board
Right.
order.
Starting when? When would we want to try to start that?
January 1 or February the 1st.
Let me ask about that. We said we were gonna work with the, so we're gonna have something in place before we just start building?
What I have told them when they call me, where the property owner has family members living on it or something, I told them to contact the PDD and see if it has generated a bill. And if it has generated a bill, then get back with me and we will work some type of payment arrangement out. And the ones that tell me that, well, they don't have anybody living there or no electricity's on there, I gave them the PDD number and told them to contact them and let them know that, so it won't generate a bill. And if it has been generating a bill, that we can get it cleared up.
Okay, I would rather do this. I would rather have a document coming from this board saying exactly what it is that you wanna do. If you don't have a meter, I would like for them to have to go to Fort County and have Fort County to give them a printout of the last time that a meter was on the house, so it won't be just he said, she said.
That makes good sense.
That
Then-
evidence, and they can go to the
right,
building department.
Create a
Then,
form that we are.
absolutely, these are the things that need to be required. If we're gonna have a way to work through this, we also need to know, are you gonna have to pay a certain percentage? And then start making, I mean,
They
we
had
can't
s-
just leave it up to individually each different. We're gonna have to have something uniform.
Now, you talking percentage, you talking about like someone that does have rentals. In other words, the 80%, and they said if you had,
No, I mean the actual cost that's occurred. Did we not say, are they gonna be responsible for the back?
They are
Pay.
responsible for it. They've always been responsible for it. They're not gonna have to come up with it all at once. I have not
That's what I'm
had
saying.
anybody, any property owner having a problem with that, that they know that they're responsible for it.
Yeah, but now that we're doing it, I'm thinking about the lady that came and said her mama, I guess the daughter's living on the property and it's a $2,500 garbage bill. I'm saying now we gonna require this elderly lady, it's gonna fall on her to have to pay this garbage bill. So are we going to, you know, if the daughter is worth the salt, she won't let her mother have to do this, but in case, what I'm saying is, are we gonna set up some sort of structure type
Yeah,
so that
me
everybody
too.
will know it won't be individuality? What are we gonna do
I
as a
think we're
board?
required by state law, if you're gonna make any distinction with that, we need to have a form.
Absolutely.
Exactly with what you're
That's what I'm
talking about.
saying. That's what I'm saying. Have some document so that we don't leave it up to guesswork or individuals or, so the board needs to come up with something before we,
some sort of a structured payment plan.
right,
On the back part.
on the back part.
But they need to go ahead and start taking responsibility for the front part going forward.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But I'm saying if we're gonna require them to have to pay the rearage, you know, some people are not gonna be able to pay it.
Well, it depends on whether you're talking about a property owner that's family members live there and that's where it's happened, or you're talking about a commercial people that's getting rental income off of them.
Rob, can we make a distinction?
You have to treat everyone fairly, equally.
I mean,
What you said is true, but we can make distinctions, but it's gotta be a distinction that is fair in how we're doing it, so.
For everyone.
Well, it's for
Well,
everyone.
it has to be, it has to be uniform for
Well, everything can be
everyone.
uniform, but when you're dealing with a commercial and you're dealing with two different entities, so you're not gonna treat a
Residential. the same as
residential
you-
the same
sure.
way you're dealing with a commercial anyway. But whatever you do, it's still gotta have a form. It's got to be, if you do X, we do Y. I mean, there cannot be an individual approach to each thing, if that makes sense, how I put that.
Yeah, it can't be.
Yeah.
So, what I can do is Emily and I can get together and come up with a form that works. And it may have to be a commercial form, and it may have to be a individual form, and see if we can come up with something that y'all can look at and say, hey, we like this, or hey, we don't. And
So maybe
y'all-
like the individual homeowner, the commercial unit, and then the rented unit.
There's a difference between somebody that's got somebody living in their property and they're getting income from it, as to somebody living on their property and they're getting nothing from it.
Right.
Can I make a suggestion? That we have some sort of workshop on this, because I don't think this can be hashed out just in the next few minutes.
Yeah, I think Rob's going to come up with some
Some sort of a
orders to
structure,
bring
like
back.
maybe
But
30, 60, or 90
however,
days, you've
that
gotta
still
start paying.
don't stop us from going, it's starting the building process.
Going forward, right,
Yes,
right.
at this point, go ahead and get that in, then we can come up with what we're gonna work with
Right,
on the
right,
back.
that's what I'm talking about. I mean, we're back to that conversation I've been asking for all things garbage, you know, we got so many different elements to this thing, we need to get worked out.
It gets far more convoluted than I honestly ever thought it would be. I mean, there are levels to this that.
Right.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
I think we got two issues here that we gonna have to look at and examine. One is actually collecting the delinquent funds. That's one. But another one is attaching the car tag to the bill itself. Now, I understand why the car tag would be on hold for the person who actually should be paying for that garbage pickup. But putting the homeowner's car tag on hold too. And that seemed to be the law, that both car tags would be on hold. And I'm going somewhere now. If we're gonna do that, it should be a while before we put that homeowner's car tag on hold. It should be probably a year before we give them chance to clear up all those delinquent bills before their car tag go on hold. Now, I understand about the person who is responsible for that bill. Their car tag should immediately go on hold or work something out with Miss Emily.
But see, that's what we're saying all along, is ultimately the responsibility is on the landowner. Ultimately.
Yeah, that's
But the
what
car
we've been
tag is
doing.
different.
Well, what we've been doing in the past is just putting it on the renter, but that hasn't worked.
But because the renter just leaves and.
Yeah, that hasn't worked. And everybody else in the neighborhood moves in over there too, so they won't have to.
Well, we're not fixing to
Yeah,
start
we can-
holding car tags for back bills. But what we are gonna do is give them opportunity to start catching up those bills. But going forward, if you're not paying the bill, then your car tag
I think,
will be.
You don't have
Some of those
control over that. We
instances-
can't control whether or not they.
I mean,
car
the
tags
prop,
are
the
They are
property
holding
owner.
car tags right now for not paying
Yeah,
bills.
I mean, no, right.
That, I mean,
That's
they're
state
doing
law.
that. I
That's
had a
state
call
law.
last week from a
Yeah,
lady.
I know, I
They're
mean,
doing
what I'm
that.
saying is, for the back,
For holding the
rearage.
property owners for the back renters.
right, we're not gonna hold our
No.
car tags
No.
because somebody has accumulated a $2,500 garbage bill that the
No.
property owner wasn't being held responsible for at the time.
No, we're gonna put a lien on their property eventually.
Of going, you're right, we gonna work with them, and give them opportunity
Yes, we are.
to catch that up.
Yes, we
But I
are.
mean, starting now, over the next months, if they're not paying the garbage bill, then we'll look at it.
Yeah.
So,
Well, hopefully we won't have this problem.
and at the same time, we still need to talk, be in conversation with our building department. We still need to know
Yeah.
what,
Billing?
The
billing
PDD.
department, yeah. So, but anyway.
And new address goes in, I always call immediately and tell them.
We're gonna do the board order to start the billing on the property owner.
I'll make a motion for that.
Motion by Supervisor Montgomery, and a second. Second by Supervisor Howard, discussion.
Can we not, no, can we not extend the date till later? Didn't we say February? I mean, don't we need to give them some more time?
You wanna say February the 1st then, to give it a little time to,
Yeah.
that'll be fine.
I mean, I
We've
think.
got to do this. If not, we're gonna be upside down in building.
Quick.
So the motion is what Supervisor Miller said. You second
On
the
the
motion?
first.
Or you?
I made the
Oh,
motion.
but you made the
On the
motion.
first
I have
of
a-
February.
Since all right, I'm sorry, I'm fixing to make this even more complicated. If we're waiting till February 1st, y'all keep in mind, if these people aren't paying, that bill is getting bigger. You follow what I'm saying?
$13 bigger.
It's
Well,
$13
okay,
bigger.
Okay, all right, I'm good. I just
Yeah, but
wanted to make
that's
sure
for
we
one
were
individual, but people who own
30,
multiple.
hundreds of these.
Right,
Yeah,
that's
but
more than
hopefully-
$13.
Hopefully some of them's paying.
Well, see, here's the thing, here's what
Hopefully.
Mary Ann explained to me, is that someone who has a multiple tenants, they're gonna charge them at an 80% rate. So if you've got 10 units, you're getting at an 80% rate. That's what you as the landowner are gonna pay. Now, if they have, say, 40% occupancy because just that, they can't occupy those residences, then if they have proof of that
Right.
they're unoccupied, bring that to Miss Emily in the billing department, then they won't charge them for that. That was according to Mary Ann, that came from out of her mouth as I was riding the roads, counting,
Okay, so if somebody has an apartment complex or homes, you were saying that she said.
That's what Mary Ann told me.
I think we
How
need that
many
in writing.
units- How many units does she do that? I mean, if
She
somebody
said it
has
wouldn't
one-
matter. I said, so, okay, so if someone's got 3 or 4 units,
Houses.
houses,
You gotta have
whatever,
normal.
she said that even on a small scale, that it would be 80%.
But 80% if they don't have but one rented, how is that
How
possibly
about
fair
if
to
they
them?
only have one, two
Well,
rent?
that's what I asked her. I mean, she said,
They got but one.
she even
We
said
need
down
a
to
number
1.
that we're dealing with, the cutoff number.
Well,
She
you
said
still
1,
don't
if it's
have to
a
have-
rental.
You still
And
don't
I
have
asked
to
that
go
same question.
with whether the electricity's on or not on, and then whether or not.
But if there's nobody there, they're not picking up the trash there. There's not a they're not picking up the trash, so why are we billing the property owner if there's nobody living on that residence?
Because the state law says if there's an electrical meter, we have to bill them.
If they're leaving the electricity and the water on, in the state's eyes, we as Octavia County pay, that's where we
I
pay.
I understand what you're saying, but what I'm saying is less expensive for them to leave it on than it is to turn it on or turn it off.
But that's state
But,
law.
but I don't think, what I think our issue is that we need to work that out with is the waste.
No,
They won't.
if they lived in the city limits, their garbage bill comes on their electric bill. That's where we don't have the option to put it on electric bill. And we're getting taken advantage of in the county because we can't.
I mean, we shall pay that. And that's that number they're coming up with, that we're gonna be paying. It's $14,500 and something more a month, isn't it? 14,500 and something? Yep. Per month, more.
Per month, right, yep.
And then we're gonna have more, if they have to pick up billing down yonder, it's gonna be $1.10 for each bill they send out, so we're gonna be paying more down there too.
Where's yonder?
Billing.
What community is, oh, I didn't know what community that was.
So
The
does
bill
Rob,
place.
does Rob have all the requests of what this board wants from the waste service?
Do you think they will meet our requests?
I mean, they have to. Now, they probably gonna vote to start building us, but at the same time, they can still be.
I'm just saying, I've asked for this for quite a while, and that's been my request all along. So I would like it to be noted, this is a long asked for request. So if they'll grant this request, then that'd be wonderful.
Well, I think if it comes from the board, as a board,
It'll do.
it has more impact than rather
It has
just
more
individual.
Sure.
That's right.
And that's why I'm asking, is there everything,
Right
does
there.
Rob have everything that this board wants?
Them to follow the contract.
See,
Well,
now, here's
Attorney
an issue.
Robinson.
Can they get back with us on each
That-
of these individual issues? In other words, that would, I guess, be my next thing, is how they rule on each of these issues.
Well, if
Get
we
back
send
with us.
them a request and they don't respond, then we've got the upper hand.
Well, I'm not looking for up or down, I'm just saying, just whatever their wishes are as a board, could they just get back with us,
Well,
good, bad, or indifferent?
Now, one of my issues with them was this. They don't wanna increase the number of garbage cans that's being furnished to Octavia County. And I said, well, listen, if you're getting ready to build us for 20% increase, we need to have 20% more garbage cans. And they don't, so now we're battling back and forth. But if you're furnishing us 500 garbage cans based on 7,500 homes, and now we're fixing to go to 8,000 or 9,000 homes, then that automatically calls for an increase in receptacles. But they wanna keep,
I'll put that in the letter.
so we're keeping.
Well, see,
You know.
and to that point, and I'm glad you brought that up, it says in the contract that there is no number. They're trying to put us on a quota. In my opinion, they have a lot of the control of that. When I say they, the way they handle those garbage cans, and I've seen the way they handle the garbage cans. And they shake them, I mean, there's no wonder that they bust and they break. So I would ask that as the need is there, you know, and they're part of that. So as the need, as it's necessary, we should continually be giving garbage cans. We're required as supervisors now to take them out. Just until recent, we still have to go pick them up over there. So as we need cans, they should provide cans. That's
What does the contract say about cans? Have you?
That they're supposed to be delivering them?
Right.
No, I mean number wise.
I think it says they'll furnish some this, that, and then if they need to know, they're gonna charge us for it or something.
See, that's what you're gonna start getting into.
Yeah, they don't.
Is
it
getting
don't
charged
have
for
to-
another.
But
He-
my argument to that, and not my argument, but my point to that is, so you're telling me, and I'm just doing the math on it, I take out 8 to 10 cans a week because they're torn up. And just doing the math on that, that's, in other words, they're in control of how they handle those cans, whether they control them with care or no care. And when they provide no care and tear up more than the 400 that they're giving us now, and say that there's 450 cans we've got to take out, then we shouldn't have to pay for extra garbage cans because they've torn them up. That's my opinion.
Do we not get wheels anymore like we used to, wheel
Yeah,
sets?
not like we used to, wheels and axles and
sets.
stuff.
Now, most of the ones that I replace, wheels are rusted off, the top has gone.
Well, I'll
The-
fix a
the-
can or
the-
replace it.
yeah,
I try to
yeah.
fix it, and last week I fixed one that had a bad top and bad wheels. I just put
Mhm.
new parts on it.
Mhm.
But, you know, I get a call from someone and it's common that they say, hey, they tore my garbage can up. I watched them when they, got the garbage, and then once they got through, they threw the garbage can in the ditch and the top popped off of it. And you go over there and it's destroyed the can just in the lack of care, how that crew has dumped that can. So I would also ask that their crews be a little more considerate towards those cans. They're right at $100 a piece.
Chad wish this on you though.
I just want one question addressed, and this is for Attorney Robinson. Where is state statute that requires billing for homes that have electricity on? Is that state statute? Is that,
It's state
that's
statute.
with waste management?
That's state.
That's state statute. Okay,
Yes,
that's
sir.
all I need, that's all I need to know.
Yes, sir.
Electricity or water.
State statute.
So we had a motion, second, plenty of discussion. Any more questions concerning the motion? All those in favor, let it be
And
known.
this is for the letter.
No, this is for the order on
We're
it starts
working
in
on
February
the,
1st.
on the order and getting Attorney Robinson the request that I need to take, that Joe and I need to take to the board.
All of it together.
Yeah, you gotta get some
But
numbers.
not, Ms. Emily's is separate.
Mine was first.
Okay.
Okay, well, on the first item, we got a motion second. All those in favor, let it be known by the proper vote sign. What's the board's pleasure on the second?
What was the second one?
Letter.
Directive for the attorney.
Motion for approval on that one.
But even if we ask for a delay, the Waste Management Board may say no.
They're not gonna,
That's
they
fine,
are
that's
gonna
fine.
say no.
I mean,
We
that's
can ask for
fine.
that.
They said that last time.
They wanted to start it last time, and
Yeah,
we
they-
got them extended for
Right.
another month, a month and a half. But this time, they're not gonna extend it, they're gonna vote to move forward. But at the same time, we can request this information, and we can dispute what's being done, and it can be changed if it's proven that we're right.
Am I asking for an
Request
extension in
both.
this? I'm just making sure that as far as how they
You
start.
can ask.
I
It
think,
never
I
hurt
think
to
we should
ask.
ask for an extension. I don't
Extension.
think we've given,
I don't think we read it.
I don't think, me either.
We're
But
turning
I-
over
I
on the
mean,
February the
we can
1st.
ask.
Why not
It doesn't
give
hurt
them to
to
the
ask.
1st of February? Like we're swapping over, so.
But you need your information before then.
We do. We need the addresses, and no, the property owners that are renting need more time too.
Oh, so we got a motion second on that, direct?
Nobody seconded.
I'll second.
Motion by Supervisor Miller, second by Supervisor Montgomery. Are there any questions concerning the motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the appropriate voting sign. Motion passed unanimously. Anything else, Attorney Robinson?
Yes, sir.
Sheriff, you have anything? Good. If not, then I say, my suggestion is that we, have a motion second to stand adjourned for the year.
I
Reconvene
guess,
January 6th.
so is Attorney Robinson and Ms. Emily gonna get together and work out the details on how the people are gonna be required to catch up to rearage this
Maybe
form?
get back with me on us on the first.
They're gonna
Okay.
get us a form before you send time.
Announcement, the swearing in ceremony is
January the 3rd.
I'll be,
9 o'clock.
I'll be out of town, but I've already gotten up with Tony, so I'm gonna do it beforehand.
All right, so we got a motion by Supervisor Miller and a second by Supervisor Montgomery that we stand adjourned to the 6th.
And before everybody gets out, are y'all